think I'd cry like 17 times before I started. I've known Elizabeth for a long time, and when she asked me to speak, I called my best friend, because that's what I do when anything happens. And she said, well, what are you going to talk about? And I didn't know, because I'm only 28 years old, but I've had kind of a life. So I could have been like Danielle, I'm really nervous, and I could have talked about being raped. I could have talked about being a victim of domestic violence. I could have talked about having illnesses and grief and loss. I could have talked about being a teen mom, about dealing with miscarriage. But I'm not going to do that. So a little crowd participation. Who here has been married? Woo! Yes. We're all about matrimony. Okay, great. Who's been divorced? It's a less thrilling thing to raise your hands for. Who is really good at being divorced? Okay. I didn't actually think anyone was going to raise their hands for that, because it's such an odd thing to say. So I am divorced, and I hear that all the time. Mom friends and friends that on the PTO, some of them are here tonight, that say, oh wow, oh my God, you and your ex are so great at being divorced. The fuck does that mean? I never, ever know how to respond. In my head, I'm thinking, well, thank you for drawing attention to one of the single most painful experiences of my life. And the fact that I'm able to like kind of get through it is like this real accomplishment to you. Thanks. But that best friend I call all the time says I'm really dramatic when I talk like that, so I don't do that. Instead I say, great, yeah, we just put the kids first. Yeah, it's great. But yes, my ex-husband and I are constantly told that by being tolerant of one another and by being able to be in the same room, that we are so great at being divorced, that it's wonderful what we can do together. We went to Disney World last year, the two of us, our two kids, my mother-in-law, his mother. I didn't divorce her, okay? But you would have thought we had walked on water. You would have thought that we had performed some sort of miracle. People said, what? You're going to, well, we've never taken our kids to Disney, and I didn't want him to miss out on it. He didn't want me to miss out. It was remarkable. So it would seem that we're really, really, really great at being divorced. Except that we aren't. Not really. We are good at being parents, I think, most time. There may even be days that we are great at being parents, but as most moms would probably attest, you don't feel great at that every day. But at being divorced, no. I am not great at looking at my ex-husband, who I loved for 10 years, who gave me my son and my daughter, and not seeing the man that I love. Even though I'm in love with somebody else now. I'm not great at not knowing how he spends his time when I have our children. When he doesn't answer the phone, and I think, well, where is he? What's he doing? I don't have the right to know that anymore, though. I'm not great at that. I've lost the right to speak for him, but I would be shocked if he were great at seeing a ring on my finger from another man when we do pick up and drop off and family dinner every Wednesday. Yes, every Wednesday. We're great at it. I doubt that he's great at hearing our children ask me to tell my fiance that they say hi and that they miss him and that they love him when we do nighttime calls. And I'm not even close to being okay with it when he has our children. because the rational side of me knows that he's a good dad. He is. That our kids are benefited by our shared custody agreement, and that he deserves as much time with them as I do. But I'm not all that rational of a person, as it turns out. My fiance, God love him, has had to come pick me up off the floor of my daughter's room while I cry into this gigantic pile of stuffed animals that I can't get rid of, that she has to have in her bed because I miss her. He finds me sitting at my son's desk reading his books and looking at his stuff because I just want to be close to him. And his response is always the same: we get back in a few days. And he's right. But he's attempting to apply logic to a situation that I don't find logical, because your child not being in their bed in your house every night is not logical. I had my son when I was 19 years old, and he was with me every day, and now he's not. Waking up to an alarm clock half of the month, and not to this tiny little person that's very sweaty all the time when she's sleeping and climbing on top of you and asking for chocolate milk is not logical. It goes beyond all reason. And as much as I would love to be the mom within that poster family for how like families are supposed to look after a marriage crashes and burns, I am not. So, if we're ever in social circles and the subject of my failed marriage comes up, here are just like a few tips and tricks to bear in mind. And I would like to think that these could be applied to other people who have slightly amicable divorces. Please do not tell me that I am great at being divorced, because it is a huge reminder that I was not great enough to keep my marriage going. Please do not say how wonderful it is that my ex and I can be friends, because it reminds me that we stopped being friends a long time before we stopped being married. You can tell me I'm a good mom. There might be a day that I believe that. But last but certainly not least, you could tell me that sharing my experience with you here, or if we're running into each other at the grocery store, because I'm known to ramble there too, has prompted you to make you and your spouse or your partner, whoever you love, try and be great at loving each other and at marriage. Because being great at marriage or relationships or anything is really not easy, but it is a hell of a lot better than being great at divorce.